All right, let's talk about the whole Rams situation. Were you guys, I'll tell you what, I had a great time yesterday. I know he works for a competing network, but both Randy Carricker and also Ben Fredrickson did a really good job of putting out the tweets yesterday.
Yep.
And we, in my opinion, we knew all of this in the sense of we knew what they were doing, but then when you realize they were actually putting it in emails, that's when you understand just how dumb, not just how dumb they were, but they never thought this was going to get out there. They never thought they were going to be caught. They never thought this was going to be an issue. I know Kevin Demoff isn't the smartest guy, and he lies nonstop. But to put these things in emails to the NFL, where Roger Goodell and other owners are responding back and saying things like, how do you want us to handle this? How do you want us to lie, basically? I mean, when you actually saw that coming out in Discovery, wasn't that pretty amazing? And Kevin Demoff, Ben Fredrickson had the tweet where he was citing the murder rates and the crime rates in St. Louis, the credit rating of St. Louis as ways to basically just urinate on St. Louis as they're trying to leave. And then when you hear everything about, when Stan Kroenke bought that plot of land, and Demoff came out and said that is not a plot of land for a football stadium.
Yeah,
that is not a good place for a football stadium. And then he stepped in it so many times, not just right after they left. I mean, everything's coming out now. But remember, he went back and he talked to his high school, which is Harvard Westlake. By the way, the same high school Jack Flaherty went to. And he had this long hour-long talk, and it was live streamed. And I believe the Rams then took it down. But that's when he said, thankfully, or not thankfully, we went on a 4-game losing streak, basically saying it was good that we lost because it was better for us to leave. And also, when the story came out about the parcel of land, you actually have an email from Demoff to the league saying, how do we handle this? How do we basically lie about this? They all knew what was going on the whole time. And the dog and pony show of Eric Grubman coming here and doing those hearings with the fans and all that, it's just such a joke when you actually see it come out in court like we did yesterday.
You see, look, as you stated, we knew what the heck was going on. I mean, those of us who were close enough around it, we knew what was happening. You mentioned in the emails, they never thought it would get to this point.
Never.
Let's do it. I'll contact you through email. Nobody will ever see these. These are our own private. Nope. They're caught. They're exposed right now for, the garbage that they really are. Demoff he's just a bad dude. He always was a bad dude. Never was a smart guy to begin with. Helped get his job because of his dad. So period. That's a truth. There's some truth in that.
Oh, 100%.
To actually see it, though, guys, is where the shock value comes in, right? The AMF reference in the emails. Yeah, that's shock value.
Which is adios, mother effer.
Yes.
Like, see you later, St. Louis.
It's so Bush
We
League.
out.
It's Bush League, and it also just, re-intensifies the lack of quality that they all are associated with. I mean, they're just awful human beings.
Well, so what happens next?
Well, they requested the net worth of a bunch of these owners, and to do that would lead you to believe there's going to be some potential punitive damages where they have to obviously pay out a monetary sum for some of this. I don't know, because this it certainly seems fraudulent. I mean, they lied. These are also guidelines. These were NFL guidelines, which they clearly didn't follow. But if we're this far along in court, everything looks really good for St. Louis. I mean, look, we lost the team. We're probably never getting the NFL again. I mean, I don't know. You never know. 20, 30 years from now, could you see a team that when some of these owners are dead and gone, you have a new commissioner, and maybe the pockmark of this has gone away? I would never say never. We're not going to get the Rams back, so it is what it is. But I just hope what Kevin Demoff, Stan Kroenke, and we crushed Demoff a lot, and he deserves it. But also, that's because he was the man talking, because Stan was at least smart enough not to incriminate himself, right? He had Kevin Demoff do all his dirty work. Mm-hmm. But Stan was the reason the Rams left, and Goodell was in on it. all these other owners were in on it. When you look at one of the things that came out yesterday, where when Stan had the first right to buy the team, because remember, Shad Khan was out there and he wanted to buy the team, and Stan went ahead and used his right contractually to buy the team. And that first meeting in 2010, apparently with the owners, he said, Los Angeles, baby. That was 2010. When did the team leave? 16, 15? I mean, that was the last year. So think about it. This was 5-6 years in the making. And when this was going on, I always kind of thought it was 50-50. I never thought definitively the Rams were going to leave. I always thought there was a very good chance, but you never really know. I had never gone through anything like this. But then when you look back, when you look at all the scenarios that played out, you realize, I mean, just go from the fact that Kevin Demoff is from Los Angeles. He grew up a Rams fan, right?
Yep.
Stan Kroenke was no longer a Missourian. He had lived in Malibu for 25 years, right?
Yeah.
They go and they get Jeff Fisher from L.A., who was the one coach who in recent years had actually moved a franchise. And we said all these things, but then when you really look back, everything they did, even with the broadcast teams, remember? Martin Kilcoyne and Fox 2, we used to have the pregame.
Right.
And then we still had the pregame, but they went from the local crew where Martin was doing the games, and I think some years you had, whether it was Orlando Pace or Marshall Faulk, I can't remember exactly, different guys, different years. But remember, they went to, I believe it was Ross Tucker. They had the guy with the ears that does
short man.
The short guy. Yes. I actually like him, but Andrew Siciliano. Yes. They went to a national crew to kind of align themselves with L.A., NFL Network type situation. Everything they did in that final 4 or 5 years, basically, when you look back at it now, they were definitely
it was a transition
headed to L.A. Yeah. Even look at the final draft. Now, I know the last couple drafts, you get a guy like Aaron Donald, so obviously you're going to draft that guy. But even Todd Gurley in that final draft, they drafted a running back you knew you weren't going to be able to use till probably 3-4 games into the season because he's coming off an injury. So there was no win now in St. Louis. Any other head coach and general manager group, if they had those losing seasons, they would have been coaching for their jobs. And Jeff Fisher, Les Snead knew there was no pressure whatsoever to win that final year or two in St. Louis. What they wanted to do is actually have a worse product so that they could point to the attendance dropping and all that and set everything up to hopefully get out there and succeed your first couple years in L.A. with the new stadium being built.
The other aspect, I mean, there was just so many of them, right? When Jeff Fisher was asked during his interview process, hey, tell us about what it was like to move Houston up to Tennessee. What was that like? Because we'd really like to know. Well, guess what? The reasons why? Because they were going to do the same thing in time here with St. Louis back to L.A. It really was. I got duped by it a lot. I was like, there was a part of me, guys, that felt the NFL really likes to use L.A. as that hold it over other markets. Go,
they did.
If you don't build a stadium here, we're going to move them to L.A. They always used that storyline, and that's how they kept getting new stadiums. And the reality is, it's that way now. The Rams they're not on the high level of the totem pole out there in terms of sports dollars. They're still down on the bottom, even though Stan's got this great stadium he's building and he's costing the league tons of money with. They're still at the bottom. There never was a great Rams fan base in terms of competing with the Dodgers and the Lakers in that market when they left, and it's not that way now. So
who cares? Let's get the Battlehawks back.
Yeah, I'm all for that. Get your own team. Get your own team back here. It's coming. I don't know if it's going to be in a couple of years, but I got to think somehow in the XFL St. Louis is back. But this whole thing, the final thing I want to say about it, you guys, in terms of this, I'm not surprised of any of the stuff that's coming out. We kind of already knew, but now the league's getting shamed because of the rest of the world's going, oh, wow, these guys really are dirt.
See, I don't know if that's the case on the level that we want it, though. For example, now Mike Florio, like him or not, he's big in that world. He does the Sunday Night Football. He has Pro Football Talk. That's a big-time website. He wrote about this. But he wrote about it in a way where it's just, I don't think it's that sexy of a story to everybody else because you don't know the minutia, right? Think about it. Think about it this way: if you are a football fan in any market besides St. Louis, where we don't even have a team anymore, or L.A., do you even know who Kevin Demoff is?
No.
You've probably never heard of Kevin Demoff. Now, maybe you've heard of Stan Kroenke.
No, Jack, probably. No, text line.
There you go. But seriously, to me, the devil is in the details of this story. You have to know the parties. You have to know Demoff. You have to know Stan Kroenke. And also, you kind of have to be here in St. Louis where you listen to what Demoff said for years and years and years at press conferences, whenever he appeared on the radio and TV. You need to know all those lies to realize that after the fact they were lies, right? So that's where I just think this story means a lot to St. Louis. It only further incriminates Demoff and Kroenke. I just don't think the rest of the country and the rest of the NFL world, I don't know if they care, and I don't know if they will put enough time in to really understand what the Rams did to St. Louis, is my point.
Probably right. And here's, as I'm thinking through what you're saying, it's true because every city that, and I'm trying to go through my head, I think this is accurate or pretty close. Every city that lost a team got another one, so they don't care. This is the one city that didn't. Rams left, probably not getting another team. Colts left Baltimore, they got another team. Houston's team left, but they got another team. I think I'm missing one other team, I believe, but that's my point.
You have Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland's the other one. Thank you. That they had a team that left, but they got a new one. So those fans of all the other teams in the NFL, you're probably right. They don't care because they got theirs. Too bad for you guys. We got ours. I'm going to go support my own team. The hell with everybody else.
At least now we have some brothers and sisters in arms, though, with San Diego.
I forgot. Yeah, San Diego.
With Oakland. No, because you're totally right, though. For a while there, they always got the team. And that was really the thing with me going through this. And by the way, we were also on Fox 2. We were the home of the Rams, which was the most awkward thing ever. It really was.
Right.
It was the most awkward thing ever. And I would always say this to anybody. And I'm no hardcore journalist, but I would never want to be working or have a relationship with the team. And I just say that because you just can't say things exactly the way you want them. You just can't.
Right.
Right. And we had to go out there, and it's not like I was even on all these shows, but Martin's the sports director, and you have to go out there. You have to do the Rams pregame show every Sunday. You got the coaches show with Jeff Fisher at the end there. Every Monday.
10 Rams today. We are excited. Yeah.
Not only are they always bad. Now, Fisher was the best thing to happen in that show because he was actually interesting. You could ask him whatever. But, I mean, go back to the Linehan and the Spags years. But also to do that and to have a contract with the team where you have to promote the team knowing there's a very good chance they're going to leave. I mean, that's a really awkward spot to be in.
Yeah, you're right.
That is very bizarre, though. I mean, it's like you're trying, but you can't try. It puts everybody's job is down a peg a little bit. Like, why am I working for this? And you guys probably knew eternally that it was just so. I know. There's some teams that, man, like even in hockey and stuff like that. Like, there's some bad teams that you just. What do you do? And they're in that weird jam, and they kind of went through it. Now we're just talking about it now. I'm glad they brought it up, though. Those two guys, Fred and Carricker brought that up today, man. Big deal.
So here's the other thing that, as I was kind of going through this yesterday, I was off Fox 2, so I was looking at Twitter, just fascinated by what was coming out from this hearing yesterday. And I put this out there, and some people agreed and some people disagreed. But even though I hate what the Rams did to St. Louis, I hate what Roger Goodell and Stan Kroenke and all those dudes did to St. Louis, I still would want an NFL team in St. Louis. And I say that because the product is still really, really good. Even I hate the people running the league. I do.
Yeah.
But football is just made for Sundays. If you like to gamble, for fantasy football, it's so much fun. It's 3 hours. You throw the jersey on. It's easy to watch. It's on the weekend when a lot of people aren't working. So all that being said of basically the NFL crapping on St. Louis here, I would still take a team because I love watching NFL football. I hate that I say that, but it's just true. Like, I love watching
It's
football and
entertaining,
following
Charlie.
it. Yeah.
It's entertaining. It's always a storyline. Every single team has, whether it's positive or negative, there's always something going on that catches your attention. And some games are boring, but it's still the gambling aspect. Like, everybody, like, again, the Sunday you get up, you make a fire, you do your thing, red zone's great. It's easy to watch. You can go to the bathroom, not miss anything. You see the highlights a million times. The highlights are great. I don't know. I love football. I miss it. I'm ready for fall, to be honest with you.
I'd love to have a team back. I don't care what. Yeah, they left, but I would like for it to be St. Louis's team. I really would.
Yeah.
Obviously, not. Let's not take somebody else's group. Let's just expansion, however you want to label it. Get your own team, your own local ownership. Unlike Stan, but I would take it in a heartbeat. I've been through 2 teams that left. I was old enough to be able to watch the last years of the football Cardinals. And those are my guys, right? As you grow up as a kid, I remember Roy Green. I remember Otis Anderson. Those are your guys. I would love to have that again. What we witnessed with the Rams winning the Super Bowl is probably second to the Blues winning the Stanley Cup in terms of what a magical year and time that was in St. Louis. And I wouldn't change that for anything. That was an awesome thing. If that could happen again, get a weekend playoff game in town. Oh, you'd love to have that opportunity to have your own St. Louis team with that again. The people running the league, yeah, they're garbage. But if you could make it happen, I'd support it.
And when you look back, I think the last time Stan Kroenke spoke was at the Jeff Fisher press conference. It was the quote where he said, "I put a lot of jack into this town." Remember?
That sounds right.
But we didn't hear anything.
I think, yeah.
It was about him potentially leaving and saying something like, I don't know about leaving, but I put a lot of jack into this town. But then if you go back, I for one feel very naive when he doesn't speak for how many years after that. You don't hear from him at all. I mean, that's a pretty big red flag. Also, I mean, he's at all these games, and I travel with the Rams for a lot of these games. He's got his security detail.
Yes.
Standing outside of the bathroom. I know Doug Vaughn did a story on that. He doesn't say a word. And those guys, by the way, those cops and off-duty cops, they're great guys. I promise you. And they're St. Louis guys. And I know some of them went with the Rams, too, and helped out. But those are great guys. They probably didn't like the fact that they had to guard Stan Kroenke when he was in the bathroom, right? Because
don't blame them.
No, I talked to all those dudes on all those trips. They're fantastic people.
Yep.
But Stan's the boss, and hey, come guard me while I go to the bathroom so nobody can come in here. And he didn't say
nerd
a freaking word. And then we were like, no, but he's from Missouri. He's named Enos Stanley Kroenke after Enos Slaughter and Stan Musial. He's a Cardinals fan. He would never move the team, right? Like, that's the things we said. And here's this dude. He had been living in Malibu for 25 years. He was no longer a Missourian. Like, same with, look, I'm not trying to compare myself, but I grew up in Ohio. I haven't lived there full-time since 2000, and really at all since 2004. That's been 17 years. At one point, you're no longer an Ohioan. You're from St. Louis. Stan Kroenke was no longer a Missourian. He was a Malibu guy. He was an L.A. guy. That's where his interests were, and that's why he took the Rams there.
I'm a Franklin County guy now. Not
Boom.
Eureka anymore.
See, there you go.
Me every damn day. I know. It's crazy talk.
Cam, anything on your end? Go ahead.
Yeah, let me. Stan Kroenke is one of those guys that makes a ton of money that you actually don't want to hang out with. He just looks boring and businessy. It's like this. I don't know. Every time you look at him, he just looks so downtrodden. But I don't know.
Well, hey,
smile. Put a smile on your face and be normal. You robot.
One more thing on that, because we love to kill Stan Kroenke.
And I got to do a Nilo real quick.
I know, that's fine. Don't worry, we got nothing to talk about in the second half. We'll figure something out.
Your voice sounds 10 times better.
I was hoping to go longer on the Ohtani segment, and of course, you throw it out there at the end of your show. We need better planning. It's all good. No, I'm kidding. But my point on Stan is, when you think about what would you do if you got so rich, whether it was your business, whatever, you married money, you won the lottery, whatever it was.
Yep.
You would say, man, I would love to own a sports team. And I would try to own it like a fan. In a way, do you want to make money? Of course. But the way Mark Cuban runs his team, right?
Yep.
He runs it like a fan. He tries to win. I know they have one championship. Could they be better? Sure. But Stan Kroenke, owns all of these sports teams all across the world, right? And he has all the teams in Colorado. I know some of them are technically his sons, which is BS. But he's got the Rams. Mm-hmm. He's got everything in Colorado. He's got Arsenal, right?
Yes.
Everybody hates this dude. The fan bases in all of these markets hate this guy. And he owns all these sports teams, which would be the most fun business to be in. There's a lot of ways to make money. And Stan has all the real estate, right? He's good at that. He's got all the Walmarts. He's good at that. But you would think that the pro sports realm, that's where it's fun. And I feel like he doesn't even have fun doing it. To him, it's just
not a hobby for him.
It's a portfolio.
Charlie.
It's a portfolio of assets.
That's why I always say I hate owners that are cheap. If you own a sports team, you own something else. Like, this is like your hobby because you love that sport. Like, he's just doing it just to do it. Why would you want to, if you had that kind of coin, why live a life where you have hatred? Why? Like, why wouldn't you just, I don't know. I don't understand his method, and people do hate him throughout the world. They protest and stuff like that. It's crazy. So it's just like, I don't understand how he spends his money. It is what it is. But
he doesn't.
No, he doesn't spend money.
Oh, there's stories from Rams Park about turning the thermostats down. I mean, that type of situation. That's what I do at my house. When I'm like, hey, I pay the bill. Can I please turn it down or turn it up to 71 and try to save a couple pennies? Think about when the billionaire owner is doing similar things.
Why own a team then and be cheap? Like,
here's why.
Like, do something else.
Because somebody like that,
Lord,
and I don't know him personally, but it seems to me somebody like that, he cares about one thing in life, and that's the Forbes list. He measures his value.
There you go.
Not against anybody like any of us peasants, but it's against the other people who are in the top, whatever he's at, 30, 40, 50, 10 of the Forbes list. Is he successful?
You're absolutely right.
After 2021 has passed, has he moved up a notch in the Forbes list? That's how he measures
Charlie,
his value.
You're 1,000% right. And when you become that wealthy, you don't care about anybody else besides the other people parallel to you that you talk to and do business with. And like, I'm better than you. Well, I'm better than you now. And so that's who nothing else matters but dealing with them. So you'll cut this guy off, do this, be cheap in this, sell popcorn for $3 more in this area just to be heads with this guy that you're in such a different platform. It just doesn't even matter, but that's how you compete because that's how you think. And to get to be that big anyway, man, you just have to be, I don't know. I can't stand it, man. I wouldn't want to hang out with that guy. I wouldn't want to. He competes with the other hierarchy, and nothing else matters, and it is what it is.
But he's also hated, right?
I know.
I remember being at a game in Atlanta, so whatever year it was still the Rams were here in St. Louis. And before the game, he's down there shaking hands with Arthur Blank. And I remember taking a picture and just joking around. Here's Stan Kroenke and Arthur Blank plotting to take over the world, right? Because it's two just ultra billionaires.
Right.
Yeah. But then also, look at Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank, people love him in Atlanta, right? And when they built that stadium, and he's got the soccer team down there too, they built that stadium, they made sure they made the concessions. That was a big storyline. The concessions were very reasonably priced compared to other venues.
That's right.
And so again, look, I don't hate people because they're billionaires. Okay, whatever. It is what it is. And a lot of these people are very successful. Great for you having great success with your businesses, but not everybody's like Stan Kroenke. I mean, there are also billionaires who do things right. They're not cheap. They don't screw people over.
Yep. They're just smart, and they can make up for being not cheap and make up for it because, they don't want to invest in that one thing just to compete with another guy. And you see it on multiple levels when it comes to that kind of stuff, man. So, yeah, he's kind of a bad dude, and I don't know. He's a robot. He's a robot. It's like a politician.
Hello, Frank.
Hello, how are you?
Hello,
this
Frank.
is what's going on here. I'm doing I can't look at you.